If today for the middle class in India the word play is more than just what children do, but also includes pleasurable entertainment for adults, then the credit goes largely to my guest. His productions have earned attention, won praise, but more than that, they've brought thousands to the theatre. So what has his inspiration been, and how much of a gamble has he taken? Those are just two of the questions I shall put today to India's best-loved theatre director, Feroz Khan. Welcome to the program, Feroz. The title, India's best-loved theatre director, which the papers have conferred on you, do you see it as the fulfillment of a lifetime ambition, or is it just a stepping stone in a long journey that's still incomplete?
I think I don't take these things very seriously, because I think people need to describe certain things about certain phenomena and certain achievements that they see. I'm still in the process. I believe that because my search has not been that success, my search has been excellence.
So Feroz Khan has promises to keep and miles to go still.
Long. It's a very long way. I think these are the things. I mean, I consider myself as one of those guys who is doing his work. Perhaps I am a little better than the average. That's all I can say at this point of time. And this I believe, because every time I do a new play, I believe that I'm starting all over again. I don't have any formulas. I don't have any sort of, that I'll put two and two together and something will happen and my plays are going to be a success. I think what happens is that I put myself in the place of the audience and I say, this is the kind of a play I'm going to enjoy. And I think there are many who I make a connection with, because perhaps they believe the same way as I feel when I sit in an auditorium and watch play.
But for today, let the audience put themselves in the place of Feroz Khan. Let's go back to the beginning of this still incomplete journey. Yeah. You were born into a family with 4 brothers and a sister. What sort of childhood was it?
I feel that I, in fact, have very vague memories of my childhood, and I almost feel that maybe I must have shunted out a very painful part of my growing up, because I lost my father when I was just 7 years old. There are just few images that I have. The image that I remember, that what happens is before you take the body away, the entire family is allowed to see the face for the last time. Now, I remember the whole day I was playing gilli danda down there. It didn't occur to me that something like this had happened in my house. But I remember when I saw the last time the face of my father, and I mean, I couldn't control myself, and they had to take me away. But I think thereafter, even now, when I tell stories to my son, I believe these stories I have never known. Because I think that part of my life, the first few years of my life growing up, was very difficult, because for a long time, when you grow up, you're known as the son of somebody, X, Y, and Z. But at a very early age, you have to find your own identity, because you go around with children and they are known as sons of somebody, but you are not known by that. So I think very early I had to create what is called an alternate reality for myself, and that was, I think, doing plays and doing elocutions.
It wasn't just the emotional trauma of losing your father. The family also suffered economically after he died, didn't it?
Yes, it did, because we were, in fact, that was a time when my father was doing very well, and he was just, the graph in terms of his career was going up. We were all very young. My eldest brother was just 16 years of age. So that was it, and we were a family.
There's a story that, for instance, the fridge was taken away because you could no longer afford to have one.
Yeah, I mean, I think my mother, she was unlettered, but she was very practical. And she realized, that I was studying in a very prestigious school. In those days, the Christ Church school in Baikla was supposed to be a very prestigious school. And she realized that they won't be able to afford the same kind of lifestyle. And I also remember that in those days, the fridge was such an important thing for me, because I could get my ice cream from there and chilled water. And one day when I realized that that's going to be sold off and that's going to go, and those are the images I still have, that I almost hugged to it, and I said, this can't happen because I need it.
As you said, whilst your world was collapsing around you, you were also creating an alternative identity, and that was through theatre and through plays. Yet your first audition in college was quite a disappointing one, wasn't it?
Yeah, not that I did badly in my audition. I think I sort of was introduced to the real world, is that it's not how good you are, is whether the other person thinks whether you're good enough or not. And I think I did my best. I had all the guys around there who were clapping and thought that I was going to walk in. But the director and all, they had already decided, because I was a first-year student. And so this kind of a discrimination you go through, that no matter how good you are, they've already decided these guys they're going to work with. So there are these auditions that you do. So I was offered as a guy who would stand in the wings, and I might have
Like the second gravedigger in Hamlet.
yeah, something, not a word, nothing, just come in and go. So I said, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I believed I was an actor of some.
But it was a very temporary setback, wasn't it? Because almost within a year,
Yeah.
your next play, Naushal Mehta, Atmahatya Kar Rahe Hain, in fact, not only did brilliantly, but won you the Intercollegiate Best Actors Award. What made the difference? Was it experience? Was it luck? Or was it just that little bit of extra self-confidence?
I think I would give credit to my director, Mahendra Joshi. He cast me in a role, and this wasn't actually the main role of the play. The main role of the girl who plays in that, this was all about media and all that. And this was actually, from that, the film was also inspired thereafter. I think that I did not know what was really happening all around me. I did it with a lot of sincerity. I believed in what I was doing. There was a very casual attitude about this guy, the guy who's going to commit suicide and announce it to the world that he's going to do that, and the whole media takes over. So I think the fact that I could be so natural on stage and yet give a performance that was very effective must have been very endearing. But mind you, there was neither experience on my side or the fact that I was more confident. It was just that I was just walking through it, and I just believed this is the only thing and the way I should do it. So
but you did it again with Ekshaf, which is in fact an adaptation of the Peter Shaffer play Equus. You took Bombay by storm, and you were only 20, and you weren't even then a professional actor. It was an amateur production.
Yeah, I mean, with Ekshaf, I think by then, as an actor, I could, my craft, I think, was improving because of my experience.
Were you learning by imitation? Were you learning from inspiration within? What was the process of improvement?
I think one is learning a lot from within, and also seeing some wonderful performers who were there at that time, performing at the Prithvi Theatre and even in the Gujarati Theatre. And again, my director, Mahendra Joshi, he put in a lot of, I think, effort in trying to get me to
He's
that
played a
level of
big role
performance.
in the creation of the actor Feroz Khan.
I would say so. I would say so, that he was quite, as an actor, I would give largely all the credit to him, because he
The
was
other person you say who's played a very big role in the creation of your theatrical life is Jennifer Kendall.
Yeah.
You said somewhere that she's influenced you more than anyone else. What did she say or do?
Well, Jennifer didn't have to do or say anything. She had to just be around you. That was the quality of Jennifer. She's just one of the most wonderful, one of those people who has those vibrations all around her. You just have to be in her orbit, and that's it. She didn't have to do much. There wasn't really any discussion about things that what I want to do in life. It's just what she had to say about theatre. It's what the kind of vision that she had and the person that she was. That was a very important influence of me to believe that I'm doing something which is of worth, because doing theatre in those days, and I think maybe even now to a certain extent, is a kind of a stigma. That stigma in the sense that, you may like to go and see a play of this guy, but you won't get your daughter married to this chap, because,
And she gave you that confidence to just carry on and believe in yourself.
That's right.
When she died, you were very close to her by then.
Yeah.
Was it a terrible blow?
It's something which is so uncanny that I keep telling this again and again to myself, that how could this happen, that I was in Africa, I was in Zambia, and I told her that I'm going to Africa and we're coming back, and that we were supposed to do our own productions at the Prithvi Theatre. And I called up England, I called up London, where she had gone for her surgery, and I said I just wanted to touch base with her and say, how is she? And I called up and I spoke to her mother, and I asked her, how's Jennifer? She says that she's gone. So I was very happy. I thought that she's gone back to Bombay and everything is fine. She said, no, she's just left us 3 hours back. And I still can't believe that this is what happened. To me, it was a very personal blow. I remember for those 2 days when I was in Zambia, I just couldn't, the whole day and night, I was just with myself. And I was trying to, perhaps, I used to just listen to, in fact, that's the time that I got introduced to the great Sanskrit shloks, and I realized that without knowing anything at that time, it had a tremendous calming influence on me. And I think that's how I could survive for those 2 days.
You spent the next 9 years, in a sense, furthering her legacy as the director of the Prithvi Theatre Group. But in 1990, perhaps with her confidence and her memory behind you, you launched your own company. It's very hard today, when you're so successful, for people to recall that it must have been a terrible risk. But in fact, it was quite a gamble launching the platform theatre company, wasn't it?
The reason behind doing that was that I was at the Prithvi organizing these festivals and all that, and I realized that if I don't create something of my own, I may just remain an organizer. And all that happens with the organization...
That was the voice of ambition speaking for the first time.
Yes, I mean, I felt that, you know, it's very easy to and very comfortable to bask in the glory of achievement of other people and believe, look, these great things I'm doing at the festival.
You wanted to make your own name.
I wanted to do something, even if it's very ordinary, but it should be my own. And eventually, I believed that we had to create something of our own. And that's the time I took the chance. I had no money. I think my family and friends, they just give me some money and some advertising sort of support, and I was able to do the play. It was a very ambitious play. And so that was the reason that I said, well, I've got to do it, and I went ahead.
But the play that really put you, so to speak, on the national map was your second production, Tumhari Amrita, which purposely, in fact, you first premiered on Jennifer's birth anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a very austere, and for Indian audiences, a very demanding play. Did you not think twice about it? After all they do is read letters on a stage. There's no movement, no costume change.
Yes, Tumhari Amrita was as a tribute to Jennifer on her birth anniversary. Normally we have Zakir playing on her birthday. That's a tradition. We decided to do a 3-day festival. And one of that, I thought the best way of giving a tribute to Jennifer was to do a play. And I thought we'll do about 4 or 5 shows, and that was it. But I was very attracted to the form, because before that I was into these big productions and lighting and all these kind of things. And here I thought that without any crutches, without use of any of the regular kind of things that you do, your tricks that you sort of play, can we still communicate a play? Can we still have a theatre experience for the audience?
So it was in fact also a challenge to the Indian audience. You were saying to the audience, here's pure theatre without
Yes.
any gimmickry. Can you respond to it?
Yeah, I mean, but it was, it sounds now, I can say it with that confidence now that it's a success, but those days were not like that. Whoever I spoke to thought either I have gone crazy, and more than me, they thought Shabana and Farooq have completely
Was
lost
it
their head.
difficult to get Shabana and Farooq to agree to play those roles?
No, not at all. In fact, the script, I think, if you look at Tumhari Amrita, I would say the star of the play is the script. It's neither Shabana, neither Farooq at the end of the day. It's the script which is the star of the play. And it was such a brilliant script that it didn't take me much prompting. Although Shabana thought that when I told her about this play in English, she thought, we'll do it in English. I said, no, I have nothing to do with that. I want to do it only in Urdu.
In fact, the play has been one of your most spectacular successes. You've taken it literally around the world,
Yeah.
and it's had hundreds of performances. And yet on the opening night, I believe, Shabana gave you quite a fright, didn't she?
Well, she continues to give me a fright. I mean, every second show she says, today, Meri Awaaz, it's not, you know, I mean, it's not working. I've got this problem. I think she's one of those actresses, again, that brings me to the fact that she is so concerned about her performance that she literally psychs herself to a point where she gets ill. And particularly with Tumhari Amrita, we had a disastrous technical rehearsal of the play. I mean, there were 2 or 3 people in the audience, and they were all gone to sleep. And we thought this is going to be the biggest disaster ever that we have seen. So we were very apologetic about doing the play, actually. And that's where there's an introduction that I do in the beginning. It was more to say, look, these guys are not going to move. They're not going to get up. And Shabana, before the first performance, was so nervous. But Farooq is one of those guys, nothing affects him. He's very cool. It doesn't matter. And he said, well, this is very normal, so you don't have to worry, because he's been with her for a long time. So it was reassuring to me. And Farooq at the end realized that both of us have the same kind of a temperament. Both
But
very
in fact, you
nervous.
didn't know at that time, but fortune was really beginning to smile on you, because Tumhari Amrita led to the creation of the theatre group and the name Feroz Khan. I'm going to take a break there, Feroz. I want to come back in part 2 and talk about all the plays that you've gone on to do and the world of theatre that you've offered the middle class in India. We'll be back just after a break. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is India's popular theatre director, Feroz Khan. Let's talk in this part about your repertoire. 3 of your famous 4 plays, Salesman, Tumhari Amrita, Salgira and Mahatma vs. Gandhi, are in fact adaptations of English language plays. Is that a coincidence or is that deliberate?
Well, I think it's a kind of material that's available in the kind of play I want to do. The fact is that we do not have original playwrights. It's almost like sounding very cliched because everyone says that, but that is the reality, that is the truth, that we do not have. If you ask me in Hindi, to me one of the last great play that was written in Hindi was Andha Yug by Dharamveer Bharti. Now, when I have plays of the kind that are available of such great quality, I would rather do them and
So
not,
the fact that they're adaptations doesn't inhibit you at all?
not at all. In fact, the adaptations this becomes a completely different experience. My adaptations are very complete. They are not translations in the sense that you're not saying, okay, this could sound somewhere in America.
Recreations,
A
actually.
complete recreation. Now look at Tumhari Amrita. You can't call it, in fact, an adaptation in that sense. It's a completely new experience.
But
It
what
goes
about
beyond.
the fact that we have playwrights in the English language like Mahesh Dattani and Manjula Padmanabhan? Why have you not brought them into your repertoire?
Well, I think Mahesh Dattani still has a long way to go. He's good, but I don't think so that he is still right there, that he's done the kind of work that I believe is of that kind of
Is your
standard.
concern with the way we write in English, or is it also the way we speak English? And so both from the writer's and the actor's point of view, the English product written by Indians is inadequate.
Yeah, now for example, you do a play, let us say a play about a Gujarati family, when that character can at any time, come out and speak in Gujarati, and if I can get a very brilliant Gujarati play on the same subject, why should I do that play in English? Now, it does become a problem that with English, there is some kind of an alienation. Now, people do not necessarily, those characters speak in English all the time, and then you try and do character. Now, I don't know for what, that happens that eventually all the people, the way they speak English on stage, they become caricatures. And I think that's one problem that you have with most of these English plays. They start talking in a peculiar way, and which again puts you off. And I have yet to see a complete English play that's been done on the Indian stage, where I felt the only one that I've seen is a play called I Am Not Bajirao, which was again an adaptation of I Am Not Rappaport. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. It was adapted, of course, it was done in English, but I never felt. But otherwise, most of the time, there's some self-conscious quality about it, and I've not been able to get myself to.
Now, of course, what many people consider your greatest play, Mahatma versus Gandhi, is actually performed in English. Why do you think that play struck such a resonant chord across the country?
I think not just across the country, wherever it's been performed, even abroad. I think this was an aspect of Gandhi's life, which for some reason was not known. Even in his own writing, you do not know much about what happened with his family.
The play, forgive me interrupting, is about Gandhi as a father and Gandhi as a husband, and quite often it shows him to be unfeeling, cold, even heartless. Is that what you're talking about?
He was very strict with his family. And this is documented, this is again and again reiterated even by his great admirers like even Louis Fisher in his biography. He has said that he was very strict with his family. He had a very strange kind of relationship, particularly with Harilal, who was his first born. And I think the story of somebody like Gandhi, that despite somebody who could transform the soul of the nation, could not save the soul of his own son, touched a chord with the audience that this, when it comes to being a father and son, it is again an ordinary man, it's the ordinary emotions. They could identify with that.
So in fact, the strength of the appeal of the play lies in the fact that it humanizes Gandhi, takes him off the pedestal of a saint,
Yeah.
and shows him as a normal human being with all the failings and weaknesses that you and I have.
Yeah, and secondly, we're taking him away from politics also to a large extent, because Gandhi, anything to do with Gandhi is political. Either you've got people, the Gandhi haters, or you have the Gandhi people who have put him on a pedestal where nothing about Gandhi can be said, which does not fit what they want to hear. So I think somewhere in between that was this Gandhi, perhaps a more real Gandhi than what these two extreme points of view.
What about something else? It's often been said that Indian society, by venerating Gandhi and treating him as a saint, has ended up diminishing himself. So do you think your play does the opposite? By making Gandhi just a human being, is this part of a growing up experience for all of us?
I think once you humanize Gandhi, once you make him more accessible to you, Gandhi will make far more sense, because Gandhi will become far more important. Because I think, to me, Gandhi's greatest contribution in many ways even now is his moral authority.
And that's what the play is really about.
And that's what about the play. To me, that's the core of the play, that despite everything, he would not stay away from that, because he still happens to be the conscience of this nation. The moral conscience of this nation is Gandhi. And I think that's what this play talks about.
Now, in your plays, you often use major actors from Bollywood, Nasiruddin Shah, Shabana Azmi, Anupam Kher. If they weren't there, would the plays have had the same appeal?
Well, you could put the argument this way, that these people who are there in my plays, they are basically theatre actors who are coming back who've been to cinema and are coming back to theatre.
So you're giving them a chance to actually show how good they are.
Well, I think Nasir has been acting again and again, so there was really it's not the point of that Nasir came back to theatre. He's been doing again, and he's one of the finest theatre actors that this country has ever produced. Now, the other actors have been away from a theatre for a long time. There was a kind of a hunger that they had to come back. I mean, I could see that fire in Anupam. I could see that desperation in a man like Satish Kaushik. And when you see that with an actor, as a director, there's no greater challenge and there's no greater high to sort of lock your hands with these kind of guys. So that was it. Yes, I do agree that the popularity of the play may be to a large extent because of these people, but people may come with the stars, but they go out with the play. If they go out with the star, the play doesn't work. The fact that the play works, in fact, many a times even without the stars, shows that it's the play that has to work.
And when you have these stars on the stage, do they throw tantrums? Are they difficult? Do you have to be as much of a psychologist as a director to draw the best out of them?
Well, I work as a psychologist purely for the play, but not for their tantrums or what you call the starry, because none of them do that. They're also wonderful because they have been from theatre, so they know the theatre culture, they know the theatre discipline. So I have never seen, I mean, they pick up their own stuff. Many of them even do their own ironing at times, which is very hard to believe, but that's true. But I do have to use some tricks. For example, I know that the play Salgira starts off on a note where both of them are going to divorce each other. Now, I don't want Anupam and Kiran to be so friendly with each other in the beginning that there's an edge that is lost. So what I do sometimes is go and tell, and Kiran is a highly excitable kind of a character. So you go and tell her that, look, Anupam is doing such and such thing and it's going to be a disaster, and she just loses herself, and you have a silence between them, and that works for my play. So when I know I have to do that, I do that, but not anything to just sort of pacify their egos. No, I'm not into that.
Feroz Khan, it's been 10 years, but it's a hard struggle, as you said, to start with, and yet you're right at the top today. Do you ever say to yourself that people with lesser talent who've gone into films have made a fortune? Because of the route you've chosen, you'll never make that sort of money. Does that ever worry you?
Well, it does worry sometimes, because every time you do a play, it's still a struggle. Because if the play doesn't work, you're back to zero. And I think that it does worry sometimes. I feel that, look, what am I leaving back? Every time it's almost hand to mouth in many ways. Or going back into whatever you earned and putting back into theatre. And you feel there are guys who just been maybe your assistant sometimes, or maybe even your runner boys that today become very big on television, either as writers or directors and actors and all that. So it does bother. But at the same time, once I have decided that this is a path that I'm going to follow, I'm doing it. How long, I don't know, but right now I'm very happy doing what I like.
The fire burns very strongly and you're not changing course.
Not right away.
Feroz Khan, good luck and thank you for a wonderful interview.